maybe you could comment upon your impressions of them in our composition class.
Well, I think for me that that the process is something that that has evolved. Where at first I looked at the narrative as sort of a piece within a longer unit, something that would be used to help students understand the research process before they began utilizing it in a more formal, traditional research essay. But what I'm finding over time is that the narrative itself seems much more valuable to the students. I feel that it's helped them develop not just as researchers, but as writers in ways that the traditional research essay doesn't really allow them to do. I think it's harder for them to find their way into some of the academic work that we might ask them to do. But I think that when they're able to express more of their understanding of the process, they somehow find their way in to the subject matter in their own writing in more interesting and dynamic and I think important ways.
And what have you learned? What have you learned about them, and how has that impacted your approach?
I think that one thing that I've learned is that students are familiar with the traditional research essay model. They've been asked to do that since they were, some of them in middle school and in high school, and a lot of times we're met with resistance when we come to that point in the semester, and students have sort of a formulaic approach and maybe some distance too between themselves and the kind of material that they're going to find as they engage with different kinds of texts that they'll find, different scholarly texts. And so what I found is that when we ask them to write about the process and reflect on that, they are their previous expectations and experiences are disrupted in a really positive way, and then I think they feel a kind of freedom to really talk about both what they're finding and what's challenging about it, and it feels like a much more honest and useful way of writing about research.
Do you think that you usually work towards them still writing a final paper, of which this is a step? Do you find, are the final papers, do you think, are they better for it?
I think they're certainly better for it. I feel like students have been asked already to think about what it is that they're finding. And I think they have the confidence then to enter into the conversation with the different texts that they've encountered. When students are asked to do the narrative before they complete the final essay, they've already deeply engaged with what they found, and they feel, I think, confident to find a position within a conversation on their topic. And I'm also starting to rethink my own approaches around what I'm asking them to do when I assign that essay. So the narratives are keeping me on my toes and helping me rethink the way that we